Hello climbers, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about what kind of rock climbing gear you need to get your family into this whole sport. I'll show you kind of some of the mandatory things I think you'll need to get, and then some optional things if you get more into it that you can think about buying.
So first of all, we've got our climbing rope. Now this is a 60 meter non-dry dynamic climbing rope. It's kind of the standard of what you want to look at when you buy this rope. You want to make sure that you get one that's intended for climbing purposes. This is something called a Kern mantle rope, and it's designed with an inner core. This is where all the strength of the climbing rope comes, or the majority of it, in these fibers. And then the outside you have this sheath. This is made for abrasion, for rubbing over rocks. There's a little bit of the strength is in this outer sheath, but most of it is on that inside nylon fibers, the core strands. So these ropes will stretch about 10%. So when you're out climbing, you'll notice there's kind of a bungee effect on them. But you can pick one of these ropes up for about 150 bucks, and that'll be your most expensive purchase. Next up, I have a couple of chunks of webbing here. This is 1-inch tubular webbing. You can pick this up online or from REI or your outdoor retailer. This is going to be about 30 cents a foot or so. And this is great for setting up anchors off of boulders, off of trees, and I'll show you guys how that works. Down here we have, I've got a couple of cordelettes. You can get this stuff, it's about 40 cents a foot or so. You can also pick this up from a retailer, REI, online. These are 25-foot sections of 6mm cord. Again, you want to buy stuff that's intended for climbing purposes, and this is great for building and equalizing anchors. Here we have a belay device. This is a Black Diamond ATC. This is kind of your simple belay device. You can pick these up for about 15-20 bucks. And this is a friction device, and I'll show you guys how that works for belaying. You can also use it for rappelling. And then I've got a locking carabiner that it goes with, also about 15 bucks. So here we have a variety of harnesses. I've got my kids' harnesses here. That's my harness. You can pick up these types of harnesses for about 50 to 60 bucks. You can spend as much as $150 on a climbing harness if you want, but there's no reason to really. You can also just get these basic harnesses for about 20 bucks. Again, just make sure that you're getting a harness that's been intended for climbing purposes. And then we have a variety of quick draws and runners. So the ones on the right here, these are classic quick draw setups, and these are great for sport climbing, for clipping in pieces for your anchors. And then over here, I've got, these are runners. So these are single length, shoulder length runners. You can pick these up for about 10-15 bucks. And then I've got a bunch of carabiners that they go with, and non-locking carabiners like this are going to cost about 5-7 bucks. And then over here we have a couple of double length runners. These are great for tethering yourself into the anchor temporarily, also for slinging onto things like trees and small boulders and horns. I'll show you guys how those work, but I would get a couple of those. And then down here we have just a basic set of stoppers, kind of in the medium to large range. This is a hex, so it's just basically a large stopper. But these are meant to be placed in crack constrictions in the rock. And I've got 10 here. That's more than enough to set up anchors in crack systems. And then right here, this is a nut tool. This is for extracting stoppers out of the crack systems once you're done with them. I'll show you how those work. But you can pick up these stoppers for about $5-8 a piece. And then I just have a variety of locking carabiners here as well. This will be for setting up the anchors. So all in all, this shouldn't cost you more than about 400 bucks, depending on how many members in your family you have coming out climbing with you. So now we're going to move on to our optional gear. Now over here we have helmets, and this is kind of a big question a lot of people have. Now these are climbing helmets, so these are specifically made for climbing. They're a little bit more low profile, but the reason I don't have this over in the mandatory climbing gear is because you can easily use like a biking helmet or any type of helmet really What you're looking for in a top roping setup is swing potential falls, and then potential from rocks falling from above. So if you want to spend 50 to 75 bucks on a climbing helmet, go ahead. And but otherwise, a biking helmet works fine. Climbing shoes. So you can get these. These are typically about 100 to 150 bucks a pair. I made it through my first several years of climbing without any climbing specific shoes without a problem. You can use tennies, you can even climb barefoot. So no reason to spend a ton of money on those if you're just getting into it. But as you do get into it, it's nice to have. This is a chalk bag. A lot of climbers like to use chalk to dry out their fingers as they're climbing. Now over here, this is something that you probably will get into later if you really get into the climbing thing. These are called cams, and the way these work is you're going to put them into crack systems, and then as you pull back on them, they extract like that. These are really expensive, but they're very handy for building anchors and crack systems. They cost anywhere from 50 to 120 bucks a piece. So, but they are nice to have, but certainly not required for getting your initial setup going. These are two different types of the Petzl Grigri. It's an auto-locking belay device. If you're gonna be having your older kids belaying for you or newer climbers belaying for you, this is a nice thing to have. It has an auto locking feature on it. It kind of locks like a seatbelt, so the rope when you pull on it on the climber end, there's a camming lever in there that'll engage and keep you safe. So it's a little bit safer than the ATC. But these cost about 150 to 170 bucks, so they're very expensive. So maybe something you want to hold off on until you're fully committed to this sport.
So that's about it for the gear for today. Thanks for coming along for this video, and I'll see you guys on the next one.